So today our video would focus on object control, which will include eye-hand coordination, bouncing and catching, and dribbling a ball. So for our first task, we're going to begin with a tennis ball. If you don't have a tennis ball, you can grab any other object that's as small as a tennis ball. And our first skill is just going to basically be handing the ball side to side. The purpose of this task is just to make sure you use your fingertips as you're transferring or shifting the ball from one hand to the other hand. So make sure not to use your palm. For this drill, you can either be standing on a chair or you can be standing. Right? So like I said, do it for 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. You can start with shifting the ball nice and low, right? Nice and low. Or you can toss it and create a bit of an arc as you're shifting the ball back and forth. Okay. If you don't have a tennis ball, you can also use a stuffed animal. So just any small object where you're shifting it from your hand, just making sure you're getting comfortable as you're shifting the ball from side to side, and just working on focusing on using your fingertips as you're shifting your ball from side to side. Okay. Also now, for our next drill, what I want you to do is now, as you transferring the ball, what I want you to do is to work on basically grabbing the ball and shifting it behind your back. Okay, so grab and shifting it behind your back. Okay, now this is if you're standing up. Now if you are sitting down on a chair, what you can do is just go back and stop here, bring it back forward, bring it back, stop forward. That's if you're sitting down. So it's kind of like a fake pass where you go behind the back, bring it back forward, behind the back, and bring it back forward. Now you can do the same thing, alternate hands, bring it back, forward, bring it back, forward, bring it back, and forward. There you go. So that's basically if you're sitting down. So that would be a modification of the person who is standing up. So now what we want to do is work on tossing the ball and catching the ball. Now what I want you to do is to stay at a level where you can control or have full control of the object. So here you go, tossing the ball and just keeping your eyes on the ball as it goes up and as it falls in your hands. Now focus on using both hands as you catch the ball. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now what we're going to do is instead of catching the ball with both hands, we're going to alternate hands. So now we're going to throw the ball with one hand and catching the ball with your throwing hand. So here we go. And 1, 2. Keep in mind, I would like for you to toss the ball up in the air at a height where you can control and have full control of the ball as it's going up in the air and you're catching it. Okay, so now we're going to switch hands. Same thing. Keeping your eyes on the ball all the way up and into your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now to focus on bouncing the ball and catching it as it's returning from the ground. So make sure that you toss the ball in front of you, where you have where the ball is visible for you to bounce and catch. Okay, so right in front. So here, catch. Here, catch. Bounce, catch. Look for a spot on the floor where you can focus on throwing the ball down and catching it. Here we go. And here we go. Catch. Okay. Now we're going to focus on alternating hands. For this drill, it's really important for you to use your finger pads as you're tossing the ball or dribbling the ball to the floor. So we're going to start with, in this case, this is my dominant hand, which is my right hand. So toss and catch. So as you bounce the ball back using your fingertips, right, you're going to switch your hand and place it underneath, making it like a basket so that you can catch the ball. So bounce, catch, bounce, catch, bounce, catch. Okay, let's switch hands. So you start our left hand. So down, catch, down, catch. Like I said, emphasize on using your fingertips as you're bouncing the ball and creating that basket as you're waiting for the ball or as you're expecting to catch the ball. And here we go. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna use a bigger ball. In this case, I'm using a basketball. However, you can use any other object that's bigger than the tennis ball. And just make sure that's something that you can bounce. However, if the ball is too big for you, you're not able to have control of the object, you can always switch to a different object that's smaller than the one that you're currently using. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing that we did with the tennis ball. Once you get comfortable, and just alternate from hand to hand using your fingertips and shifting the ball, maintaining full control at all times. Now for this task, since you are using a larger object, just make sure that you are tossing the ball at a height where you can have full control. Right? So here, back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then now we're gonna work on basically shifting the ball behind your back. So you can go here and bring it forward. So behind your back, forward, behind, forward, and bring your left hand and bring it forward, forward. So here we go. Now, if you're sitting down, just as I mentioned when we were using the tennis ball, which was a smaller object, you can bring it behind, forward. This is if you're sitting down, so it's a modification. So instead of going all the way around your back, it's like a fake pass, right? Behind, front, behind, front. Okay, and then you can alternate arms and do the same thing. Alternate arms and do the same thing. It's just like a fake pass behind your back and bring it right back. Now back to catching the ball. What we're going to do is toss it up in the air and catch the ball, right? Catching the ball. Tossing it up in the air, keeping your eyes on the ball at all times. If this is getting too easy for you, then you can toss the ball and clap your hands, right? Clap your hands. Here we go. Clap your hands. You can always progress by using 2 claps. Catching the ball. Catching the ball. Catching the ball. If you're able to do 3 claps, then go ahead and do it. So here we go. Catch the ball. catch the ball. Hands on the ball at all times, okay? All right, so now we're gonna shift now from catching the ball into bouncing the ball and grabbing it with both hands. So you're gonna bounce. It's a bounce pass right in front of you, and catching the ball. So now as you bounce, bring your hands underneath the ball to create the sense of a basket to catch the ball. And catch. Now as you bounce the ball on the floor, you can also bend your knees. That way you're able to have better visuals of the ball. Okay, so bounce, bend your knees, catch. Bounce, bend your knees, catch. So as you're about to bounce the ball, you can create that bend on your knees and catch the ball. Here we go, catch the ball. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna focus on dribbling. And we're gonna start off with your dominant hand. In this case, the dominant hand for me would be my right hand, and then we're gonna shift and alternate hands and just keeping control of the ball at all times. Okay. So what you can do is you can make. I'm gonna bounce the ball with my right hand. So in case you lose control of the ball, you can always keep your left hand close to the ball in case the ball bounces a different angle depending on the surface where you're bouncing the ball. So here we go. Using your fingertips, you're gonna bounce. And like I said, if you can't bounce the ball more than one time or dribble the ball bouncing more than one time, always have your left hand prepared. However, if you're comfortable with it, then you can dribble the ball and use your fingertips as you're dribbling the ball. Keep in mind, I want you to use your fingertips. I don't want you to bounce the ball with your palm, okay? So here we go. Knees are slightly bent as you're dribbling the ball, and keeping your eyes on the ball at all times, emphasizing your fingertips as you're dribbling the ball. Now, I want you to start off by dribbling the ball in front of you. The reason why I want you to start dribbling the ball in front of you is because you're able to see the ball. Now, eventually, what you can do is if you by any chance are playing a competitive game or just a friendly game of basketball, what you can do is to keep the ball away from your opponent, you can dribble it on the side, right? Keep it on the side where the opponent has less reach to try to take the ball away from you. Okay, so dribble it on the side. Same thing. Knees are bent, and you're using your finger pads as you're dribbling the ball and keeping an eye on the ball at all times. Okay. Now you can switch and use your left hand. Same thing. Using your fingertips as you're dribbling the ball. Okay. But it's really important for you to master your dominant hand first. Okay, so you can start off by 10, progress into 20, and the more you can dribble the ball with your dominant hand, you master it, then that's when we can also shift to your left hand. But it's really important for you to dominate or master the dribbling skill with your dominant hand. Once you feel comfortable with it, then that's when we shift to the other hand. But I'm just, in this case, what I want you to do is start with your dominant hand, and I'm also going to show you as you shift using your left hand. Okay, so keeping your eyes on the ball at all times. Okay. All right. So this was basically alternating the ball just on the sides. We were dribbling the ball, but we were just basically emphasizing a side dribble. Now, what I want you to do now is focus on creating a V shape as you're bouncing the ball. Here, 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 here. So now we're implementing a combination of using both hands at the same time. We started off by just mastering the dribble with your dominant hand and then shifting to your left hand. Now, as you get more comfortable, we're gonna use both hands, creating that V shape as you're shifting the ball from one side. You're still gonna bend your knees as you're dribbling the ball, using your fingertips, and keeping the ball in front of you where you can visually see the ball as you're dribbling back and forth. Now, what we can do is, that was just basically, in a way, staying in place. Now what I want you to do is dribbling the ball, moving forward, and then going back. So here we go. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you can go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can also dribble with your dominant hand, creating a circle as you're dribbling the ball, creating a circle, and then you can use your left hand, creating that circle. Here we go. All right. But it's really important for you to just maintaining control of the ball at all times, shifting directions, right? Going forward, going backwards and backwards. All right, class. So basically today, as I mentioned at the beginning of class, our focus for today was object control, including eye-hand coordination, and also catching the ball and dribbling. So we did begin by using a smaller object, which in this case we used the tennis ball, right? The reason why I decided to begin with the tennis ball, which it was a smaller object, is because I wanted you to get comfortable with a smaller object on shifting the ball from one side to the other side. And it also it was going to help you to emphasize using your fingertips, right? So those were the important elements as whether you were dribbling the ball or shifting the ball from one side to the other side. It was using your fingertips and having control of the ball at all times, whether it was close to you, or if you had a higher arc on the ball as you were shifting the ball. Also keeping the ball in front of you at all times, so you're bouncing and creating that basket as you were catching the ball. So that was the whole purpose. I wanted you to begin with the smaller object, just to build your confidence and just motivate you on progressing on other tasks. And then eventually, as I said, we eventually brought out the basketball, which was a larger object compared to the basketball, but it was just like I said, the tennis ball was preparing you for the next step. However, if you didn't feel comfortable with the larger object, I did mention to use a smaller object, whether it was a stuffed animal or maybe a smaller bouncier ball compared to the basketball. But it was basically the same task, shifting the ball from one hand from the other side. With the basketball, since it is a larger object, you have to create, as you were catching the ball, creating that basket for you to control and catch the ball, but also working on your fingertips as you're shifting it back and forth, the same as you were when you were dribbling the ball. Emphasizing the fingertips as you were dribbling the ball. And if you weren't comfortable dribbling the ball 10 times, then you could always use your left hand to bounce, catch, and bounce, catch. Now, for those of you who were able to do it 10 times, you're always more than welcome to dribble the ball as many times as you can. And it's important for you to master dribbling the ball with your dominant hand. Once you master your dominant hand, then that's when you can focus on alternating your hand. But in this case, I just wanted to show you both sides with your dominant hand and your left hand, and just being able to shift directions. Shifting directions will help you in other activities where maybe you have opponents standing in front of you and they would like to reach and steal the ball away from you. So that's why it's important to dribble the ball as you're shifting directions. For today, as I mentioned, it was great teaching you guys on object control, and I'll see you next class. Thank you.